Hi, welcome back to another edition of Mic Drops. I'm your host, Richie Averill, and today I'm joined with Andrew Sams of Alpine Building Performance. How are you, Andrew?
Great, Richie. How's it going with you?
It's great. Thanks so much for joining us today. So Andrew is the owner of Alpine Building Performance, and he's here today to tell us a little bit about the importance of home inspections. And so Andrew, why is it so important for a homeowner to get a home inspection when they're looking to buy a home?
Certainly. So home inspection is an extremely important part of the home buying process. As you know, a home is one of the largest investments a consumer is ever going to make in their lifetime, so it's extremely important that they have a really good idea of what they're buying and what they're getting into. There's a lot of systems part of a home, and really this is a property condition assessment. We want to see what condition the home is in as a whole, but then what are the ages and conditions of the systems in there as well, such as the furnace, water heater, condition of the roof, structural things like that.
Excellent. So it's more of like a home condition report is a way to look at it. Perfect. So when you're doing this home inspection, this home condition report, what are some of the common things that you're looking for?
Sure. So, we like to be very thorough. And so we're going through the entire home, but really the most important things that we're looking at are roof, structural, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, the big systems. Those are the bigger ticket items that we want to really make sure we get an accurate assessment on, because that's what can really stress the buyer financially if we don't give them an accurate account of those systems. But beyond that, we want to make sure really anything that's integrated as part of the home that is included with the sale of the home, down to the appliances, windows, doors, even down to the aesthetics, which we like to mention, just for their information, so they've got a better idea of what they're getting into.
Perfect. So it's just a great way for the buyer to know what they're getting into before making that large investment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because one thing we see with buyers all the time is that, especially in today's market where things are moving quickly, they come into the home, they put in an offer on it, and they don't really get to spend a whole lot of time with the home. So if we're spending 3 hours in this home going through everything in a systematic, detailed way, we're able to give them a lot of insight into the things they may not have seen initially, and be able to better educate them on the things that can help them get the most out of their home.
Perfect. Yeah, because when you're taking that 15-minute walkthrough initially, you don't always get to see or know what might be going on with the house. That's
Certainly,
a good point.
certainly.
So here's a question that I get quite often, and I really have been waiting to ask you this. Should a buyer have a new build inspected?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes, absolutely. That's a question we get quite a bit as well. You have the assumption, like as with a new car, this is new, there shouldn't be any issues. That is definitely not the case when it comes to construction. There's really, construction is only as good as the condition the people were in when they built the home.
Right.
And there's a lot of room for human error. Rarely do we see large, very critical issues such as structure or mechanical issues, but a lot of craftsmanship details, material defects, things like that. So there's yet to be a perfect home that we've seen. We don't think we'll ever see a perfect home. Right. And it's good insight to be able to push back on the builder to really demand the high quality that should be out of new construction. And if I may add one thing on that, in addition to a general home inspection for a new home, we do encourage, people ask us all the time whether they should have radon testing or sewer scope for a new home. Believe it or not, even though sewer lines are new, we still see some defects, about 10% of the time or so, where there's been an installation defect, a cracked pipe, improper slope, things like that. So new doesn't mean perfect, but right. We want to make sure everything's in good shape.
Perfect. And a good point to note is that most, if not all, new builds do have a home warranty period.
Correct.
Right? So that'd be a good time for them to have everything checked.
Exactly.
And get
exactly.
It fixed.
So most builders will do a 1-year builder warranty. Okay. So up to 12 months after closing of the home, they will come back and take care of anything under warranty. So that's a good time to kind of at that 11-month time frame to have everything checked out.
Perfect. And I've been doing this for a while, and I've seen quite a bit of crazy things at inspections. But this is your world. This is what you do. So I know that you brought us some examples. What are some of the craziest things that you guys have seen in your inspections?
Wow. We could do a 2-hour segment just on that alone, literally. We see crazy stuff all the time. Most of it's homeowner initiated. It's something a homeowner's done maybe 30 years ago, right, that we see and is unusual. But a few things, actually, I've got a couple examples here. Okay. One thing I wanted to mention is combustion safety. And, when you talk about what we look for in a home inspection, one of the things I really didn't stress as much earlier as I should is health and safety items. At the end of the day, we want to make sure and protect the buyer's investment. But nothing's more important than the health and safety of the client. And so that's really one of the top priority things we're looking at. Here is, face value, a pretty boring picture of a water heater. But what I wanted to point out with this is something I saw recently during the course of an inspection. It's a natural gas combustion water heater that was completely unvented. And so all of the combustion gases, which carry carbon monoxide, are just dumping into this basement below the home. An elderly woman had lived in this home.
Oh, wow.
And this is a major health and safety potential issue is we're not venting and getting these exhaust gases out of the home properly. They're just dumping into the space. And so this is clearly a very blatant defect, something that any inspector should pick up on. But we're really big on combustion safety. We check all combustion appliances, furnaces, water heaters, fireplaces, gas stoves, for example, to make sure they're venting properly and not causing any harm. So that's so we've seen some pretty bad combustion safety issues before. Here's another slide I wanted to show. And talk about new construction. I use this example frequently. This was a brand new home that I inspected recently, and the attic over the great room was completely uninsulated. And it was just something that the builder, the superintendent, the subcontractors, the city code inspector all overlooked.
Gotcha.
And so, overall the home was in great shape. As I said, most new construction builds are, but you can certainly find issues. And this photo was taken early in the morning, and I could tell with thermal imaging that there was no insulation in this attic, and sure enough, that was the case. So thermal imaging is a great tool that we like to use for energy and moisture.
So with this, if it were adequately insulated, you shouldn't be able to see the rafters?
Correct. So you can see a difference in temperature there between the cavities in between the rafters or the ceiling joist and the drywall, which should be insulated. That should be a uniform color there.
Gotcha.
So it's a nice indication.
Good to know.
But definitely, again, no new construction is not immune to having oversights.
Right.
So those are a couple more home performance type items. This one's just for fun. We see all kinds of stuff that makes us laugh and that we get a kick out of sometimes. Just a very unusual stairwell railing configuration, and I thought that was kind of a good one. So we see all kinds of funny things.
It's pretty creative.
And then on that note, this was one of my favorites, the air freshener in the furnace cabinet in preparation of I'm sure putting the home on the market for showings. Just trying to make the home smell a little bit better for the showing. So I've actually seen this quite a few times. And on that note, I even though it's slightly unfortunate, I do get a kick out of seeing the things that some sellers and homeowners try to do to deceive the buyers and the inspector. But
and the realtor in me thinks that that's probably to cover up a smell, perhaps. All right.
So actually, when you see something like this, it's really a red flag that there's probably something else going on. Animal urine, mold issues, something like that. So usually it's even more of a red flag when they're actively trying to cover something up.
Great. Yeah, so everyone watching, you've seen some examples of interesting things that Andrew and his team has found during their inspections. So I've got just a few more questions for you, and I'm going to kind of break it into a two-parter. What is something that, or a tip that you could offer for a realtor, a real estate agent that is looking to hire a competent inspector? What are some tips or things that you could pass along?
Sure. So, really, you want to you want to work with a home inspector that's passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
This isn't a job for us. We love working with homes. We love working with people. And we love being a part of the overall transaction and the overall process. So someone that really cares and is passionate about what they do. But that's obviously not enough. Someone that's educated and very well informed in this field. Colorado is an unlicensed required state for home inspectors, so quite frankly, anyone can become a home inspector. So really vetting their experience, making sure they've got adequate, training and experience in the field is key. And on the education component, something we really believe in, and one of the favorite, things we love most about our job is being able to educate our buyers and the agents we work with. We don't believe in just handing over a report and then that's kind of the last you see of us. We want to be there to help explain, okay, well, this is what we found, but, why is this important? What can we do about it? And what are the implications of this? So really putting things in perspective because, it's a very, it can be a very nerve-wracking, stressful time for a buyer, as you're going into a home, and we realize that, and we want to make sure that we give them good information and really put it in context as not to alarm people and the things that we find.
Very nice. And if, let's say that a buyer is not working with an agent that has some qualified, competent inspectors that they work with, what are some tips? Let's say that this potential buyer is out shopping for an inspector on their own.
Sure.
What are some tips that you could provide for them to help ensure that they get the right person for the job?
Sure. So really a lot of the same things, making sure they're qualified, that they love what they do, and there's that level of professionalism there. As whether or not we're working, with a represented or an unrepresented buyer, we consider ourselves part of the team and part of the overall process, and so we want to help things move along smoothly. But, really someone that's going to give you good, honest information, really take their time working with you, again, giving that information to the client. So, if you're looking for a good home inspector, certainly, call a few folks, see who's out there, read their reviews, see what their education is, how long they've been in business, and some of the things they do. Again, being an unregulated industry, there's a really, wide scale of services that can be offered. Does the inspector use thermal imaging? Do they check for combustion safety? Some of the things we were talking about earlier that aren't required of an inspector necessarily. And then take a look at one of their sample reports, see how they report, what they report on. Do they include photos? I know I have a friend who bought a home about 5 years ago. And he got a carbon copy report that was written just pen and ink, no photos, and that's just outrageous to me that's even something. Hopefully there are none of those still in circulation, but just as in this past decade, the technology in the home inspection realm hasn't really caught up to what it should be and what the rest of the real estate industry is doing.
Nice. So we talked a little bit about tips for realtors, tips for consumers. Anything else? One final question. Just anything else that you want to share about home inspections? Sure.
So home inspection's not something that the general public really interacts with much on a day-to-day basis. And but it's such a critical field, and we really. I know at Alpine Building Performance we believe about this. I know there's a lot of other inspectors that are very progressive and that really have a lot of passion and care for what they do. So I guess mainly what I'm getting at is that the home inspection industry is changing and evolving for the better. Technology's getting better, education's getting better, and we really want to just offer the most top tier high standard of service that we can to really just help be an integral part of the home buying process that There's an informative, educational, and really at the end of the day, again, it helps the client get the most out of their home, because this is such a big investment. We want to make sure not only do they know, say, that property condition assessment, and know what they're buying, but also how they can get the most out of their home and be comfortable, safe, healthy, and have low energy bills and live in an efficient home as well.
So home inspector is definitely an important part of the home buying team.
Absolutely.
Along with the agent and the lender.
Absolutely, and I think that's the way it really should be viewed. And when we ever have the opportunity to work with an agent or given a referral, we take that seriously, that we're part of that team. So when I get a phone call, we want to give that same level of service. I mean, this is as much as of a technical business as this is, it's also a customer service business, and so we want to take the baton and take their client through that process with the same level of professionalism and service that they would expect to give their client.
Great. Well, thank you, Andrew, so much for joining us
today. Of course,
today.
Thanks so much for having me in. This was great.
And thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the next edition of Mic Drops. Have a great day.